Good morning, beautiful people. Today we are going to make a Scrappy Cat wall hanging. And like with most tutorials that I do, I don't really have a plan. I am going to kind of just wing it and show what I'm going to do. But I do have like a really good idea of how I'm going to create the shape and how I'm going to construct it. So hopefully it should be useful. Let's crack on with what resources I'm going to use for this, and if it all goes well, what resources you will need for this. So for this you are going to need some fabric scraps, a large piece of scrap fabric to create the body of the animal that we're making. You will need some wire, and ideally something that is fairly sturdy. I got this wire from eBay and it's 1.6 millimeters in width, but you can go for something a little thinner if you have it. You're going to need some decorative scraps, so scraps that you want to lay on top of your animal. If you've got like trimmings, buttons, just to make it a little bit interesting, then bring them along. Then of course you will need scissors, a sewing needle and sewing thread. And I'm actually going to be a little bit cheeky and use some hot glue. So if you've got a hot glue gun lying around, then maybe use that, because it does help speed up the process. And in order to create the template, you will need some paper and a pen. You'll also need some felt, or just some fabric, which is going to go at the back of the animal. I got this big old box of, I think it's like 50 or 60 sheets of felt on eBay for 10 quid, which is a bargain. So first thing I'm going to do is just stick a couple of pages together, just so I've got a big enough size for my template. Then on Pinterest I found these two reference images that I want to use. I just really like this, the like vintage kind of style that this gives. It reminds me of those Halloween tinsel cats and I just love them, but I think I want to add 4 legs instead of the 2. So we're going to just create a shape with these as a reference. Okay, I've added another bit of paper just so we can have this like tall tail that I really like. So let's do I'm just going to go over that with a darker pen. See if I've got something a bit darker. Okay, there's no real need to cut the shape out because we're going to build the shape on top of this template, and we can just keep reusing this template. So I think the best way to do this is to divide this into a couple of sections. So the legs are going to be wired, which we will insert a bit later. Same with this pair of legs. Then we will do a wired tail, and then we'll do the main body out of scraps, the head out of scraps, and figure out a way to attach it all together. So I think I'm going to start with the body first. So I've got a large piece of curtain backing, or like the lining of a curtain. So I think let's go for a biggish size. So it's about 60 by 52 centimeters, and then we're just going to grab some scraps and then start to mold the body of this cat. Perfect. That's a really good amount of scraps. If you've got some string or some embroidery thread just to help tie this body up, that sounds wrong. I bought this on eBay, this like secondhand cotton twine for like £10 I think it was, or £13, and there's blooming loads of it, and I'm going to use that to create this body. So I'm just going to lay it on top and then start to overlap the cotton. I think in order to create a more arched look, I'm just going to add more string here and just keep it a little bit more tighter. As you can see here, that fits perfectly. So we're going to move on to the head and then work on the wired tail and legs. So this little scrap piece measures 28 by 28 centimeters, and we are going to somehow create the head, including the ears. So I'm thinking if I just distribute the scraps so it has a similar shape head, and then once again wrap it up, and then sort of trying to mold the ears as I go along, like I'm doing here. Might be a little bit too big, so I'm just going to remove a couple of scraps. Cute. There you go. Ooh, it's already coming along very nicely. Switch the angle of the camera just to make it a little bit easier for you guys to see. So as you can see here, we've got the body and the head, and we will work on attaching them a little bit later. We're just going to work on the legs next. So for this, I've got some wire. Because this wire is super thick, I'm not going to cut it with my fabric scissors. Okay, so to form the legs, I'm going to do like a big... Do you know what? I'm just going to show you. It's so much easier. I want to leave about 1.5 inches just so it allows easy attachment. And then I'm going to use the template to create the exact shape that I see here. So, oh, just dropped my wire. And then again, I want to leave about this, almost to the cat's bum. So let's cut that. Fabulous. And then we're going to repeat the same for this set of legs. Fabulous. And then as we're here, we're just going to do the tail using the exact same technique. So leaving about 1 inch either side and following this template. And then cut it about there. Fabulous. Now I'm going to attach all these pieces together, and the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to put it against the template and sort of place the legs where they need to go, and then I'm actually going to hot glue slightly and just put a bit of fabric to hold it in place, but you absolutely can just hand sew these together. In fact, I might even do a little combination of both just to make sure it's really secure. Okay, I think my hot glue gun is finally warmed up, so I'm going to... I might get some little bits of scrap fabrics just to hold these bits down. Doesn't matter if it's super messy because we are going to clean that up with hand sewing. Plus this is the back, so no one really cares. Be careful if you are using a hot glue gun. The glue is obviously very hot, so just be very careful when using it. My sister actually burnt her leg using my hot glue gun when she was younger, and yes, I wasn't too pleased. She had a great big scab on her thigh. Okay, there. Okay, I've just hot glued a tiny little dollop on the bottom of the head to keep it on, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some more of that cotton twine and then just secure it a little bit better. So I think we're going to start with the head and go through the legs a couple of times. Yeah, that's already feeling a lot more secure. Woohoo! Look at that! Okay, I've got all my scraps, including some thread. I'm going to create a little button nose with this wool. And then, yeah, I think we're just going to go ahead and wrap the tail and give it like some proper volume, and then wrap it in thread. Okay, I think what I'm gonna do, instead of doing this wrap technique here, I think I'm gonna scrunch up some scraps and sort of place it like inside the feet and then wrap the scraps on top. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Again, I'm kind of just winging this completely. So I think if I just scrunch them all there, yeah, I think that works well. And then maybe I could tie, or maybe, yeah, I just feel like it gives like more thickness. So if we do that and then flip that round and just add some hot glue here. Again, we're just like using lots of scraps here. I've just burnt myself. And then I'll probably go over that with some more thread. But yeah, I quite like this technique. So scrunching scraps, putting them in here. Yeah, I like that. I'm going to need some more scraps. Oh, right, I'm going to work on the body now, and I'm just going to cut these in strips. And then this fabric I got from Japan, so of course we're going to use some of this as well. And then with my hot glue gun, I'm going to start at the tail and wrap. And again, you can either hand sew, but again, I'm just being a little lazy and just hot gluing everything. I'm actually going to do a bit of hand sewing just because it's nice and therapeutic. Right, I'm going to put a pin there because I'm going to hand stitch that. I'll hot glue this. Basically tidying all of the joining points with more scraps. Oh, that looks so cute. We might do that, I'm not too sure yet. I think I'm just gonna like fold some bits as well, just so it fits nicely. Then I'm just adding it strip by strip. I'll probably hand sew a little bit here. Maybe we'll give her a little pink head. Right, I'm going to get my hand sewing tools and start to hand stitch a lot of this because the hot glue gun just isn't as trustworthy. And I'm also going to buff out this tail as well. And then we need to think about what to do with the face. I'm thinking make a cute little nose with this and literally just stitch it on. And then for the eyes, maybe some buttons or... I'm not too sure yet. Where we're at, and we've still got a little bit more of hand sewing to do, especially trying to tie down these bits of scraps. I am going to like pad out the tail a little bit more using the same technique with the legs that you saw earlier, and then I need to just tidy up the legs a little bit, but then we can then work on the face, I think. Tell you what I did find. I wanted to add a little ribbon tie around its neck, and I don't know whether to use pink to go with this pink theme, or I've got a little bit of this neon green which could look really cute as well, so I need to work out what to do with that as well. I am beyond chuffed of how this has turned out. I just need to work on the face, and so I think I am going to do a little button nose in this wool, and then I think I'm going to create two little pointy ovals, and then just with some fabric pen marker just do like the little black eyes. I don't know if it's going to be too dark, but we'll see. I think I'm going to use a bit of this placket instead. I just feel like it's the right shade of green, and I'm just going to create two little the eyes might be too big. Let's just draw in the black of the eyes and then assess from there. Maybe the eyes are a bit too big, or maybe the nose is a bit too big. Let's trim you a little bit. Oh, that is so cute. Oh my god. Right, I'm going to hand stitch this down. I don't think I'm going to do a little mouth, but I might do some little whiskers. Yeah, we'll do some little whiskers. Do we go pink or green? I've only got this small amount. Oh, that's so sweet. Righty ho, so we are so nearly finished. I'm just gonna burn the ends of this so it doesn't fray. Fabulous. And then we're going to turn it around, and then for the felt I'm only going to felt the main body and try and catch these little bits of the legs in. I'm not going to do the whole back because it's going to be on the back, so it doesn't matter. So I've got my thing, my felt, and then with a marker I'm just going to roughly mark where I need to cut. There you go. I'm going to flip this back around, and then, was it this way? Fabulous. And then I'm just going to, I'm going to do it this way I think, and then I'm just going to grab my pins and start to pin around the edges. If you want it to be quite quick, then you can just hot glue this part down. But again, just make sure you're careful with your fingers. And you don't want any of the felt to go around the front or be shown on the front. So you may need to snip little bits, depending on where it is. All right, double check that's not showing on the back. Obviously that's going to be stitched under like that. And then we can go ahead and start stitching. Woo! So I'm going to double thread my needle, and then I'm just going to start at the tail and whip stitch. If you're not too sure how to whip stitch, it's really easy. You just go in about 1 centimetre into the main fabric and then come out on the felt, and then you sort of repeat that. So you go over by 1 centimetre, come up through the felt, and again come through the felt, and it creates a nice neat finish. Honestly, I am so chuffed. I've done the back, and yes, it's looking a bit raggedy, but it's fine, it's the back. Now we're going to add the little hanging thread so we can hang this on the wall, and I'm just going to use a bit of embroidery thread, and then I only need about that much. Then I'm just going to double it and create a knot. And then I'm going to place it around about in the middle here, about 1 inch or so under. Go in, go back in, and come out like that, and then just make it a little bit looser like that. And then I'm just gonna go in again. Snip it, and then if I can, I'm just going to tie a knot just to secure that. Trim off all of the little excess bits. Voila! Da, da, da. Isn't it fabulous? I'm going to take some of these pictures down and then hang it up just to see how it looks, and then we'll have to find an actual space for this because it's too cute not to hang up. This actually might have to stay here because it fits so well with the colours that I've got on this wall. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. Well, winging this Scrappy Cat wall hanging. I actually think it's turned out really well, and as always, if you do make anything using this tutorial, then please do tag me or email me your photos because I love watching them, or seeing them even. And this is probably going to be my new obsession along with beetles and angelfish. Yes. Thank you so much.